love, everyone loves Lulu. See love, hear love, speak love, everyone loves Lulu.
Hello there, beautiful. It's me, your girl, Miss Lulu. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Everyone Loves Lulu with my special guest. He is an entrepreneur. He is a loving father and husband. And he is also the founder and CEO of Epic Life Insurance Agency. Please welcome our boy, Hiram Travis. How are you?
I'm doing good, Lulu. How you been?
I've been great. I mean, we were just talking about how it's been years.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. I'm not trying to age ourselves right now, but it
Not
has
much?
been
Yeah.
it has
Been a
been a
little bit.
little bit.
Yeah.
Well, just because of the climate that's happening right now, how about we start there with how are you really, and how is your family as well, with COVID?
Been blessed.
Yes?
Family's healthy. Work's been busy. I think with the way things in transition because of COVID, like we need to find our new norm.
Oh
And
my
a lot of my work is
gosh. I'm in
transitioned online.
denial, Hiram. I don't want to say new norm. I'm just
I know.
living in the past right now.
I know. That's the thing, right? It's like, it's like we missed the old days. Old days of like a year and a half ago.
Yes,
Which is
like
like the old days.
2019,
Yeah,
right?
like no mask to where you walk everywhere and you see masks all over the place.
I know. And that is, I've finally gotten to the point where I don't know how it is for you, but I automatically reach for it. I have extras in my car, in my purse,
Yeah.
in my... And every time, but I saw this meme actually that was like, anyone else just walk out of a store and just rip their mask off? Like,
It's funny is I'm actually pretty bad with masks.
oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
hey, that's
like-
okay.
Yeah, no. So like I forget it a lot,
Uh-huh.
and to my kids, my wife was like, "Hey, your mask." I'm like, "Oh shoot." So
Well, at
I
least
gotta
you're not fighting it.
No, like I
You have
walk.
so many other things on your mind.
I walked in the stores before, and they're like, "Oh, show your mask," and it's like, "Oh shoot, my bad."
Yeah.
Put on. So yeah.
But
I get
at
it.
least now, I mean, if you forget it, everybody, even at the stores or the buildings that you walk in, they have extras now available for you. Like, oh, don't worry, we got one
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, we got you. I like good looking out. Thank you. Yeah, and it's cool. I get it. Yeah, thank you. Get the mask and about our way. So.
I'm sorry, but carry on though. So COVID, and it was like the family's healthy. How about business?
Business
Because you
and-
being an entrepreneur, a business
Yeah.
owner.
Yeah, so prior to COVID, I was in the restaurant industry, and I had a to-go restaurant in downtown Long Beach, and I collaborated it with my food festival.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I had the food festival prior to COVID, it was a great event. It was building momentum, and one thing I found is that let's just say if you wanted to eat let's just say if you had Lulu's Lumpia, for example, right, and you're a pop-up, the only way they can find Lulu's Lumpia is if you're at a farmer's market, for example.
Uh-huh.
So then I just kind of this bouncing ideas with these vendors, and I'm like, hey, you know what? What if I got a restaurant, and you, for 2 days out the week, you have residency there? And they're like, you know what? Wow, it's great.
That's really cool.
Yeah, because the biggest thing with the pop-up food vendors is, once again, people who want to eat their food, they can only eat their food when they're at certain markets.
Right.
And so
And they're far and few between, you
Yeah,
know, what
yeah.
happens. So you're like waiting forever, or
Yes.
unless you have the inside number, like, can you please make me
yeah,
this?
can you make a Luby on the side?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there in half an hour.
Have an hour, please.
Yeah, but no. So I saw a need there, so I pitched the idea. I said, hey, what if I got a restaurant, and 2 days out the week we'll have Lulu's Lumpia. 2 days out the week we have so and so's burgers, and 2 days out the week we have so and so's barbecue.
So cool.
And so I pitched the idea, and they're like, yeah, let's do
Love it.
Yeah,
Let's go with
let's
it.
go with it. Yeah. So 2 days a week, I had a Filipino spot vendor. The other 2 days a week was barbecue. And the other 2 days a week was a burger spot.
And when did you start that? Was it in 2019?
Yeah.
Because that's when you also had your...
The food festival.
Yes, the
Yeah.
food festival, which is the only one of its kind.
Only one. Yeah. So been blessed to. The biggest thing with the concept or the idea behind the South Bay Food Market is because I wanted to create a Pacific Island Food Festival,
Yes.
but I didn't want to name it Pacific Island Food Festival because I didn't want to narrow my audience.
Yeah.
So me being born and raised in the South Bay of
You wanted to
Gardena,
be more inclusive.
yeah, exactly. So you come to the festival, it's an island vibe, island music,
They
majority.
kind of get the drift, but in case
Yeah.
another vendor wants to come in, you're like, hey, it's,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a
so like
South Bay food
exactly.
market,
So like
right?
the last event, I had a ceviche.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Spanish guy, but you'll find
Which we love as well, anything
Oh my
seafood
gosh.
for us,
Yeah,
right?
it was amazing. It was amazing. But then, so like me, I'm a foodie. And so I've been doing the foodie thing for a long time before like foodie was a thing. And so when I saw that once again, I'm like, you know what? I said, hey, what if we create a food festival in the South Bay? Because the big food festivals that they have, like in Orange County, 626 Market, and that thing's huge.
Huge.
Yeah, more of an Asian feel. So I'm like, you know, what if we could bring this to the South Bay? More of an island feel.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I know a lot of Pacific Islanders that have great culinary skills, but they just don't have the platform to show their food. So I was like, shoot, once again, if I create a platform for them to showcase their talents, their culinary skills, then maybe it might help them to get to the next level, whether it's a restaurant space or whether it's catering gigs. And so within the first couple of events that we did, a lot of people started gaining momentum. They like catering gigs.
That is so cool.
Opened up food trucks and took their business to the next level. And so that was like the gist behind that. And then, but of course, when COVID hit. So COVID hit, couldn't open a restaurant. And then also, too...
But you had already had your festival in 2019, the end of 2019,
Yeah.
right? Towards the end.
Yep.
And it was a success.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was
I
great.
mean, what, almost 5,000 people came through?
Close to 5,000 people.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so we had about 20 vendors, and just about all of them sold out.
And your prediction was so right about there being a need,
Yeah.
you know, for a space there, especially for the South Bay.
Yep.
And it's such a great central area to where you can come from either side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I mean, it was definitely a good time. We all had a good time when we went.
was
And
good stuff.
I was actually looking forward to it, you know, speaking of COVID, since it's still continuing. It's like
I know.
part 7 right now
I know.
of the
Crazy.
saga. But we were looking forward to actually enjoying the South Bay food market again.
I know.
It was supposed to happen last week.
It was supposed to happen last week. And got a call from the LA Health Department and said, Hiram, right now, City of Carson, they're averaging about 4,000 new cases of COVID a day. And you know what? We don't want you to do it. Don't do it. And so, you know, I mean, kind of on the crossroads, right? Because I have vendors, you know, and you know,
And
they're
they
looking
said
forward to
they recommend that you don't. They didn't say don't do it, right? There's like, we recommend that you don't do this.
it. Yeah, because
Strongly.
because the event permits, everything is paid for through the public health department. And so I was like, you know what? I'd rather listen to them
Yes.
because I wasn't more so thinking about, hey, maybe this event. I'm thinking more long term because I want to see the growth. I want to be, you know,
Yes.
like the 626 market in Orange County, like 100,000 people there in a multiple day event. So I was like, you know, I took a step back, had to process that, and said, okay, you know what, we're not going to do it, but you know, let's connect and let's see how we can strategize to make sure that when it does when it does happen, that we're good. We don't have to worry about anything happening as far as, you know, a possible shutdown. So I'm in the communication with the public health department. We're looking in about like a month and a half, 6 to 8 weeks out.
As in 2021,
As
this
in-
year,
as in
as
this
in
year,
this next
we're gonna have
month
one.
and a half. Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna have one.
Are you thinking, okay, of course it's tentative because if there's a new variant or the variant or Delta variant decides to go really rampant, but that's what we're looking forward to then, is in a month and a half, we could be having.
Yeah, as long as there's no shutdowns, and as long as I mean, at worst case, if it just stays the same, then it'll happen.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll happen. So,
But if there's a shutdown, of course.
if there's a shutdown, which I've heard
It's
there
like
might
coming
be,
2022.
Yeah, I heard there might be, and if there is, and once again, it's what it
Right,
is.
we just
It's what
move
it
with
is,
the times.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, what does it take to do something like that? Actually, like to be able to throw a food festival.
You know, it takes a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think the biggest thing is having a vision to where you want an event to go.
And I mean, let's actually go back because I feel like that kind of goes in your through line, right? For everything.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
being a dad and a husband, and you know the CEO and owner of Epic.
Yep.
Life insurance agency. So what came first?
So the food festival came first.
Okay.
And the food market. So prior to COVID, I had the food festival. I created the South Bay, the Food Market Express in Long Beach, collabed with that. And then I was also getting ready to open up a cold brew coffee bar with, it's called Matte Black Coffee.
Okay.
It's about 3 blocks east of Staples Center.
Are you a coffee drinker?
I'm not, but
I'm not either. I
yeah.
only ask because I have diehard coffee connoisseurs, if I dare say so. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's always, I mean, especially here in LA where it's go, 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 go.
yeah.
Coffee is definitely something that we need all the time.
So that concept came into play. It was a friend of a friend, and his name is Andy Wen. He also owns Rodeo 39, which is
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Okay, I love that venue.
Yep. So I partnered up with him, and it's called Matte Black Coffee. In fact, it just grand opened last week. But we're
Well,
supposed
congrats.
to have grand open that in March of 2020.
20. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then, of course,
COVID hit, right?
Yes.
So then,
oh my gosh, all these things got postponed.
yep, can't open a cold brew coffee bar during the pandemic, can't open the restaurant, and can't do a food festival. So, a friend of mine shared with me this industry, and which is the financial services space. And basically, when I looked into the industry, I found out that, this industry creates the most millionaires, but also it's a recession-proof industry. And the information that I learned, the short time there, I was like, I wish I would have known.
Yeah.
Financial education, literacy,
Yeah,
right?
literacy, right.
So
And us being Pacific Islander, it's...
that's the biggest thing we lack.
Yes, yes.
So, born and raised in...
We don't lack making money. It's actually knowing what to do with it and
Yeah.
how to actually make it last and how much you can
That's the
keep in your
biggest thing.
hand, right?
That's the biggest thing. My parents, they moved to LA from Hawaii. So I was born and raised in Gardena. And you know what? When I look back at it, I was like, there's a reason why my parents lived paycheck to paycheck, and they worked all the way into their 60s. It was like no one really sat down with them to teach them, about finances, financial literacy, about the power of like leveraging IULs, annuities, Roth IRAs, life insurance, even like credit. Like
Yes.
When I went to high
That's
school, I went to
basic.
college, and they didn't even teach me once about the power of credit. It's not until I went to debt.
Right.
So I'm like,
Then
oh
you're
shoot,
like,
you know what?
oh.
Yeah, okay, this credit is a real deal because
Yeah.
if you want to buy a house or a car,
They're
you
going to
got
look
credit.
at these things. Mhm.
Yeah, so credit is gold. And so once again, I'm learning all
Well,
this stuff.
good credit, right?
Good credit, yeah. Good credit is gold.
Right. I'd rather have no credit than bad credit. So,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah,
you
no,
start to think
100%.
but you're right. And then, your experience is the same for so many of us.
Yeah.
Where our parents, they weren't taught. Nobody talked to them about financial literacy. So then, of course, the cycle continues with their children.
Yeah.
And then luckily for, you've stumbled upon it with our life experiences, especially growing up in the States, or like coming and moving and immigrating to the States, then you're going, oh shoot, I gotta like get with it, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna be left behind. Or so, okay, cool. So then you did the food market, you found this industry,
yeah, I
which
found
is
industry.
life insurance.
Yep.
Okay.
So life insurance, and during COVID, it was a blessing. It was a blessing because I was able to build this business to where I have an office now and I have about 45 agents in other states.
That's incredible.
But
Congrats.
thank you. But I built it through Zoom. Technology.
Yes.
So I literally was in my garage. I had my Zoom and I had a virtual background.
And you had your boxers on with your tie.
100%. Yeah. Top ready. We
You're
call it
like,
top ready.
"We're top ready."
That's it. My ear lava or my shorts on, my Crocs. But up here,
You're like,
business.
I'm totally business.
Yep. And you couldn't see my garage door because it was the virtual background. So I was good. So I dove into the financial industry, catered a lot towards life insurance. So I offer more than life insurance, but I stayed in that lane because
You found that there was a need for that as
there's
well.
need for that in our community. So many Polynesians passing away. Even now, they're passing away. Instead of leaving their loved ones with some kind of financial wealth, they left them with debt.
Yeah.
And because we see all these GoFundMe accounts online.
Yes.
So I'm like,
And I'm not even leaving it wealth behind as so much as like being able to take care of their funerals and their
expenses,
their last days stuff. Like that bare minimum we lack altogether.
Yeah.
And they actually leave us.
Yep.
The survivors. Death is harder on the people that are alive than they are on the dead, right? It's
yeah,
like-
real, 100%. So my friend of mine shared with me. He says, Hiram. He says, how is it that your house is insured, your car is insured, your cell phones are insured, but not your life? And I said, never thought about it that way.
You're like, because I'm gonna live forever, duh.
Well, yeah, no, but you know what though? But in the Polynesian community, it's a tough conversation to have. No one wants to talk about death.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's very taboo for us, which is crazy because death is a constant part of our life. In general as human beings, but as Pacific Islanders, we have a funeral every week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even prior to COVID.
Yeah.
So it actually blew my mind that when I met my, American friends, they hadn't really seen a dead body. Well, mainly because their families aren't as extensive as ours.
Yeah.
So we have huge families. And so I've seen my first dead body when I was like a baby. You know what I mean? Like going to the funeral and kissing
Yeah.
my grandma or great grandma. And so like that's constantly a part of our life. And yet it's taken us so long. And still now.
Yeah.
Still now we tend to avoid it. You
Yeah.
know, we tend to avoid that talk of we are going to eventually die, guys. Like,
Yeah.
and then what?
Yeah.
And what happens?
And I think, it could be an uncomfortable conversation at first, but then you really make sense to them. Like, hey, man, like, shoot, your cell phone's insured. Like, why shouldn't your life? And like, oh, I never thought about it that way. It's kind of taboo. We don't talk about it in the community.
Yeah.
And like, especially like in the Samoan culture, right? Fa'alawilavis is, it's everything.
Yes.
And the fa'alawilavis are like every week.
Those are, you can definitely count on, you know?
Yeah. So I'm like, but I've been around services to where that's all they had was waiting for that envelope to come to help pay for the services.
Yeah.
But I've also been on the other side of that where they, of course, CE comes, envelope, that's part of the culture, right? But they also had proper life insurance. So it was less of a stress and burden on the family because they weren't depending on that.
On the alofas to come through with the love, you know, and the giving.
Yep. And so,
which our system is almost, in a sense, like a life insurance, right?
Yeah,
like especially
that's old school life insurance.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because our family, when you are Samoan or you're Tongan or you're Pacific Islander, we take care of each other, even through death. But it does come with all, I mean, I don't know about you. Every fa'alawilawi, technically, I've shared this before, but fa'alawilawi literally means like trouble, like problems.
Yeah.
But that's what, when we have issues coming up with death or with weddings or with birth or with all those things, right?
Yeah.
Or there's a new whaiwheau or there's a new pastor. You're like,
all that.
Somebody wants to get a title, a matai name, a chief name, and I don't know. And the concept that we have is constantly always is like, well, we give, and we'll get back tenfold. And I mean, eventually, maybe if we live long enough to see it, but there's a better way. And that's what you've learned and you're actually sharing now.
Yeah. So, I was like, you know what? When I'm looking, as I'm sharing information, what I'm doing with people, they're like, you know what, Hiram? Shoot, it makes sense. I don't know about IULs. I don't know about indexing. I don't know about Roth IRAs. I don't know about, I don't know that. A lot of people don't know that life insurance, there's certain policies out there where you have a built-in savings account in there. And so a lot of it on my end, this is more so as in educating everyone on the importance of what I do.
So whether or not they get it or not, you're like, with you're going, this is something you do need, whether you get it from me, but let me at least give you a 100%. Leg up, know, 100%. What questions to ask. Here's like some definitions to these words when they're trying to throw it at you.
Yeah. So my whole mentality is being a servant leader. Servant leadership, right? I'm just going to share with you what I do. Here's how I think it benefits you. But if you see value in it, great.
Yeah.
If not, it's all good. At least you know what I do, right? So you can send me referrals.
Yes.
What happened during COVID, though, is because I was working and I built an organization through Zoom. Is it like, Hiram, what, you doing this from home? I was like, yeah. And you could reach out to multiple states and build teams. I was like, yeah. So that's what I did. I built an organization. I have about 40 active agents all the way from Florida, Virginia. I have a team in Missouri.
And so you built this in 2020. Like, you were introduced to this.
I've only been in the industry like 16 months.
Unreal.
Yeah.
So you had to be on the fast track.
Yeah.
So obviously, what is it that you needed to kind of learn right off the bat?
You know what? Being a sponge. Being a sponge, being coachable, and being able to just soak in all the knowledge from this industry. Like, for example, like 401ks, right? Everyone knows about 401ks because that's what jobs offer.
Right.
Right? And then, so for the most part, it was like, oh, yeah, I got a 401k. Yeah, did you see how much you lost during COVID?
During COVID.
Oh,
right.
No, So, but they don't educate, employers don't educate employees.
Of course.
On the downfall of 401k. Because when we hit a recession, people lose money.
Yes.
And some people lose a lot of money.
Yes.
But there's other ways. We indexed it. So this is all stuff that I'm learning. I'm like, dude, why don't I know this stuff?
Yeah.
Right? And then, when I look at, our community, Polynesians, for the most part, a lot of us have that paycheck to paycheck mentality.
Yes.
And so,
tomorrow will take care of itself.
Yeah. Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
You know what?
We need to live for today.
Yeah. and so COVID was a blessing in a sense because what I found is that you got to be very mindful. If you want to succeed in life, you got to be very mindful of your associations. So prior to COVID, financially I was doing pretty decent, had the restaurants going, but my associations weren't the right associations.
And expand on that.
Yeah, so weekends, turn up.
Oh,
party.
okay.
Let's drink, let's have a good time. Where's the next karaoke bar?
Yes.
We're going to sing, you know what, and we're going to drink till 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, right? And it was a cyclical process every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
When I removed myself from that environment, I'm like, Hiram, what were you doing this whole time? And
did your pocketbook feel a little heftier too after you kind of removed yourself from
yeah,
that?
well, you know what? I mean, it's a lot more clarity, right? So like I've always had like goals and dreams, right? But then the people that we're hanging around with, once again, no knock on them, but they don't have the same goals and dreams that I have.
Right.
Like you know, I want to be able to wake up in the morning if I want to take my family to Paris, go to Monaco, to Bora Bora, the Maldives. I just want to go.
Yes.
I want my own jet. Mm-hmm. You know, I want all the finer things in life, and
no one says you can't have that.
right. But my associations, you know, they're just like, we leave for the weekend.
Yeah.
And I was kind of caught in that. It wasn't until I removed myself from that, and I'm like, you know what? Damn, Hiram, what are you doing? So now I'm in a space to where I'm hanging around the right associations, that the people that I'm with have this, you know, same goals, dreams, ambitions. They want more out of life, right? So how I'm taking my role is I want to be able to change the narrative within the Polynesian community, because for the most part, when they look at Polynesians, right, like when they look at me, right, I'm like 6'2", 290. Oh yeah, you know what? Oh, you security?
Yeah, of
You know,
course.
no, I don't security.
You used to play football?
You used to play football. I said, yeah, I used to in college.
In college, right.
But that's pretty much the stereotypical narrative with us. But you know, they never thought of a Polynesian taking over the financial industry. And so I want to be able, you know, so that's one of my target goals, is to bring more Pacific Islanders into the financial space and provide this platform for people to excel. Because when going back to our community, right, because I'm all driven, when I think about our community, a lot of times I think making it could be either working at the refinery or maybe longshoremen, right? Because they make good money.
They make great money.
They make excellent money.
And
right?
they never get fired. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
once you're in,
Yeah.
you're pretty much in.
Yeah, like you know,
like you got to really do some really bad shit. Like
yeah,
in order.
yeah, like dude, you got fired. How the hell did you get fired?
How?
Yeah, how did you get fired? Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, family at the docks. I mean, they work 2 hours but get paid for 10.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's the life right there.
That is,
Yeah.
right? That's
and so
the
you know, so
ultimate.
if you could get one of those jobs, you're set.
Because
right?
then you have this free time to actually.
Yeah. Well, so what all I want to do is I want to say, hey, you know what, man? If that's your goals and dreams to work for the refinery or the longshoreman, you guys get in. Bless your hearts.
Yes.
Yeah. But you know, if you don't, here's another space. You know what? People are making $200,000, $300,000 a year as longshoremen. In my industry, people are making $200,000 a month. And so it changes your perspective on things, and it opens up your eyes to, like, you know what? Wow, there's a lot more out there than just that.
Yes.
And once again, no knocking that, but
I think also, I mean, for me, and what I've really noticed is, and you know, I don't know about you, but there's such a need from the ground up from our children,
Yeah.
right? Because like you had mentioned, in school, nobody taught us how to actually balance a checkbook, and
Yeah.
nobody told us about 401ks in school. Nobody
Yeah.
told us about taxes. Nobody told. I mean, like, they kind of glaze over it, but they don't actually take you through the process, give
Yeah.
you all these options, and then as Pacific Islanders, if you're straight from the islands, you don't really have a lot of the resources. You don't have the options, right? You think all I have is the military or a sport to get out.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky enough to be academically sound, which then, you know, you still have to come out of pocket because you're
Yeah.
going to be going out of state
Yeah.
for school. Like, nobody teaches you that process, you know,
Yeah.
and which is crazy, because then I feel like it's a conspiracy. Everybody's trying to just keep everybody, whoever is poor, and you know what I mean? It gets, because
saying.
because education, right? Information is knowledge. I mean, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Right? Knowing
Yeah.
is actually powerful.
Yeah.
And I can't believe how much money we actually spend in school, and that's what we go through, right? As
Yeah.
Pacific Islanders, like, go to school, be good in school, be number one in school. It's like, and then do what? You know,
Yeah.
like,
That's same thing with me, right? I was my parents said, hey, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, retire when you're 60. And
60, right?
Yeah.
You're like, well, there goes my
I'm-
life.
yeah, I'm like-
if I'm lucky enough to make it to 60,
that
right?
process never made sense to me, but I listened to my parents.
Of course.
I went to school, got good grades, got my degree. I ended up getting a job that had nothing to do with my degree.
Yeah. What was your degree in? You actually graduated
Sociology,
from
UH.
Okay, but I mean, in a sense, it's still with people, right? The social construct of
Yeah,
things.
but I was
and-
like, you know what? I don't want to be a social worker. I don't want to deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I want to deal with that stuff.
right.
You know? And then so I read a book. Okay, it's called Rich Dad Poor Dad by
Oh
Robert Kiyosaki.
yes, love that series and the
Changed-
game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it changed my whole mindset of being an entrepreneur.
So this you read Rich Dad Poor Dad like way back when, or
Yeah.
did you actually just?
No.
catch
So
on it?
No. Maybe like 5 years ago.
Oh wow! So yeah, still pretty brand new to
Yeah.
it.
Still pretty brand. Yeah. Still pretty brand new.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you really were a sponge. I mean, are a
Yeah.
sponge still.
Yeah. I'm like, wow. I was like, you know what? Being an
And it made
entrepreneur-
sense. It clicked.
Yeah, like you know what? I could be my own boss, control my own income, control my own lifestyle. If I find an industry that I can go out there and help as many people as I can, but at the same time too, make good money.
Yeah.
And so the funny thing about this industry is, for the most part, prior to this, I was always chasing money. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm chasing making 20 grand a month, 30 grand a month, 40 grand a month, whatever it was. But it seemed like every time I would chase it, it eludes me.
Right.
So it's like you chase money, it eludes you. You chase purpose, you go out there and be a servant in the community. It's funny how money follows you.
It just
Yeah.
it
And
takes
so that-
care of itself.
Yeah. So and that's been my whole angle with this, is this, you know what? I'm just gonna create this platform and as large as I can, share as much information as I can, and let people know in the next generation, like, hey man, here's the space. There's other options out there. And I think we get so conditioned to talk about, oh my gosh, you make $15 an hour, you make $20 an hour, right?
Yes.
$20 an hour. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Right.
Wow.
But you know what? When you reverse that and be like, you know what? Is an hour of your life that you're never gonna get back only worth $20?
Right.
And when I talk to people, like, wow, if you put it that way, Hiram, it's really not a
And
lot.
it really isn't $20 an hour, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, after taxes and you
California
pay
kills
so
you.
and so.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe you're looking at what? Like
Yeah.
15. I mean,
At least.
right. If you're making it's like
Yeah.
on the good
Yeah.
end.
And
if you have enough if you have enough write-offs, right? You're like
Yeah, which a lot of people don't even know about right off.
I know.
But we live in
Right.
California where they're just like taxing the
They're
heck out
just
of us.
raping us, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's
Especially
like,
when
man,
you're
it's
in
like,
the
you could eat-
traditional 9 to 5 life.
Yeah, and you work a 9 to 5 over here, and you barely can get by. It's so expensive here. So many
I
people.
actually don't even know how a lot of us are able to afford to live here. Like we can't. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like you said, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul half
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah.
and opening credit cards that we know nothing about.
Yeah.
And we are constantly just cyclical with our debt.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And then
that's the
when we
thing.
die, it just carries on. Isn't that terrible that when we die and we have debt, our debt doesn't die with us? Like,
Oh yeah, here you go. It's gonna go to your family. But you're right with debt though,
What you
because
inherited.
at the beginning of the year we seem to pay down our debt. Mm-hmm. Toward the end of the year, our debt racks up again because of holidays and all the shopping.
Of course, and all
And it
our
goes-
family,
Yeah.
and all our fathers, and it
Yeah.
seems to all come in like one time.
Yeah, and so the biggest thing, is what I'm finding out is at the end of the day, we just don't make enough money.
Yeah.
If we want to live in California, you just got to make a lot of money,
Yep.
or move to the inland or like
Yes.
IE, where it's cheaper. Corona, a lot of people I know are moving to Texas.
Yeah.
To
Arizona,
where it's cheaper.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, because we live in a poorly ran state to where it's so expensive. Tax
Yes.
on top of tax.
And we actually generate so much money as a state, is what's great. Like we have Hollywood, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's mind-boggling. But then of course we're paying for the climate. Like,
That's it. You know what? Beautiful weather.
yes,
Yeah, and
we
you
can
know,
at least
I
count
chalk
on that.
it up to that. Like, you know what? Hey, we have the best weather.
Yeah.
Right? But, in this kind of this entrepreneurship, financial industry, of course, even like, when I was growing up, hey, we never talk about money.
Oh,
But-
because that's taboo too.
That's taboo too.
Like
Right.
don't ask me about what I make and what you make
Exactly. But then, you know what? Now I look at it, I was like, you know what? There's a reason why my parents didn't want to talk about money. They don't really know about money.
and yeah. So you can't talk about something.
You
So
can't-
it becomes fearful, right? Scared.
Yeah, like, hey, like, it's like taboo.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm in this space right now with a lot of successful people that are doing very well for their families, and they're out there winning in life, and they talk about finances. It's like, Hiram, how are you?
Openly
Yeah, how are you not going to talk about finances
when it's
when you get out of college? Shoot, you need to learn about finances.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what? It made freaking sense. And so, that's another conversation that we have now is, shoot, family, we talk about money. It's good to talk. They need to know about my kids need to know about money.
yes.
They need to know about interest rates. Even like, like the typical, I say, poor man's mentality is like, you know what? Don't get credit cards because you're going to go into debt. But then, actually, the best way to go is actually get credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
Use the credit cards. Don't put your debit card, don't use your debit card. Keep your money in your bank. Because if you're using credit cards, so I'm teaching my kids, right? Use your credit cards. Buy everything in credit card, right? If it gets stolen, and it's covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the credit card's money.
Right.
It's not your own personal money. If it's on your debit card, you try to fight for that.
Yeah, it takes
right?
forever.
It takes forever for you to get that money back. But man, it's credit cards. Man, they reimburse you right there. Also, when you're leveraging credit cards, you're also getting points. Right, you're getting points on
the things like travel, food,
frequent flyer miles.
Yes.
Depending on what credit card you have, you rack up points. You use those points to go buy merchandise. So what you're doing is you're just flipping. You're using their money to make money, and so that's all a mindset that once again, I was always taught. Oh yeah,
so I
don't
love
get a
that.
credit.
That's very much a rich dad, poor dad concept, right?
Yeah.
Now, of course, with that as well, we tend to, because we have a lack of knowledge in credit and finances, we will take advantage of that. And you don't want to get into the area where then you're in way over your head for credit cards, right? So, like, how what is it that you need in order to manage it? Like, so you're spending money on the credit cards. Do you need to pay it off right away, or do you need to, like, what's the system that needs to happen in order to make sure that because credit cards can definitely put you in debt as well as, give you good credit to be able to buy a house and stuff. So, because it can give you bad credit or good credit.
So if anything, start off small. Like for the most part, if you have new credit, right, you're new, they're probably only going to give you like $200 to $300, maybe $500. But stay within that limit. Don't go over it. But then I wouldn't pay all of it off. I'd probably leave some of it on there, because for credit, for the most part, you want to make sure you have a larger revolving balance, or open balance, I should say.
Okay.
Available credit. But then what happens is you're making those payments, and all the credit company sees is current. And this is something that never was taught to us.
Right.
But now we're talking about it, and now we're talking about it openly. So we're talking about credit, talking about finances, and even too. It's another, I'm having more open discussion in regards to like politics. Even like politics, it's like kind of taboo.
Well, yeah. I mean, we are very complacent as a society. I mean, I'm sorry to say it, but I'm not, because it is. I mean, we might complain in the coolers, right? Like in the back room, but then when it comes up, we're very much respectful. We go with the flow of what's going on, whether it's completely terrible for us or not.
Yeah.
And when it comes to politics, because a lot of it, again, is fear, because we don't know.
Yeah.
Right? It's not having the information.
Yep.
And we're not ambitious enough, I think, a lot of the time to actually go after the information.
Well, that's the thing too, right? You look at what runs society. Are these policies or whatever they have, these laws that they put in place. And, like, once again, I've been in this industry for like 15, 16 months, and I'm like, you know what, man, I need to know about these, these things that they're trying to push through. I need to know, capitalism, for example. What I mean? Who's more for the entrepreneur, who's not? And just educating yourself on what's going on from both sides of you. Whether you're, left or right, red or blue.
Right.
It's all good, but at least you should know what's going on out there on both sides. So that if anything, when it comes to your vote for whatever it is, at least you know what you're voting for. And at least you're not in the blind. Because like back in the day, I'm like, I don't even vote.
Yeah.
I mean? I don't even care. But then you see like a lot of the stuff that's happening now, it's from stuff that got pushed through maybe years ago.
That's now affecting
us now.
Yeah, and not only you, but our next generation, right?
I mean, So all the stuff that's taboo within our Polynesian community,
like Social Security, like we're not gonna see it at all.
It's gonna be gone in like 15 years.
Right.
Yeah. Like what is Social Security?
Yeah, baby boomers leave with it. Like we're not gonna count on that, and we're paying for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But you're right though. Even like pensions, these are pensions that aren't even around no more.
Yes.
Right. And so they talk about, hey, you know what? Here's a retirement plan, here's a 401k. But what happened, a friend of mine last year was a longshoreman, a friend of a friend, was supposed to have retired last year, but when the COVID hit, he lost about $350,000 in the 401k. Just like that in about 3-4 weeks.
I guess, like you said, we're not educated in the fact that 401ks are also traded, right? Like that's what they're using as leverage, these companies, when they're publicly traded, right? To actually get all these other loans or get 100%. All these other money. And
a lot of people don't know that. I'm like, hey, do you know your 401k is invested in the stock market? No, I didn't know that, Hiram.
Yeah.
Did you see? Oh, okay. So you have a 401k? Yeah. Okay. How much did you lose? Did you see how much? Have you been tracking that stuff during the COVID? Have you lost any money? Yeah, I lost X amount. Or no, I'm too scared to look. Yeah. So I'm
So
like, hey,
ignorance is bliss a lot of the time.
pretty much, and pretty much. So, as
It's
I'm
like no news is good news.
yeah, basically what it is. Hey, yeah, you know what? Outside, out of mind.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, well, you know
exactly.
what? You lost $100,000. You should know about it.
He's like,
you
that's
know what I mean?
kind of not just chump change,
Yeah.
You're going to feel that amount.
Yeah. So,
And all the years that you put in, like you said, an hour of our lives, a minute of our life that we never get back. That's definitely the priceless thing. I mean, at least for me and my family, as I've grown and learned, that's definitely something that I want to be able to hold on to as much as possible is time,
Yeah.
right? Like, how am I actually that quality time, with what I actually want to do with life,
yeah, that's if there's one thing that money can't buy is time. And so what I'm doing as I'm growing a team, I have multiple agents across multiple states, is the buyback time, because, for example, I can make $2,000 in an hour. It'll probably take someone a week, maybe 40 hours to make. So I'm like, hey, if I could show you how to make $2,000 in an hour, you just bought back a week of your life. What would you do at that time? Oh, Hiram, I'll spend time more with my kids. I'll spend time more with my husband, my wife. And so that's the space that I'm in, that's offering that type of financial freedom, if they're willing to put forth the work.
Yeah.
And so that's that's the biggest thing as I'm seeing, as I'm growing teams. And I mean, I have people that have quit they we call them fire their boss. I have people that fired their boss and they work with me full time. Virtual agents. They work from home. They have Zoom, and basically wherever they go, as long as they have internet, they're good.
working. They can pick
They're
up.
good.
Yeah.
I was in Hawaii a few months ago with my family. I ran a few meetings through Zoom. Spent the rest of my time with the family. I was in Texas, Dallas Cowboy Stadium.
Did you ever think you'd be in that space to be able to do that? I mean, I know that you always had dreams and aspirations and goals, and
I always, you know what? I always felt I was capable of it. I just didn't know when, but it came fast. Like I said, I've only been in the industry like 16 months, but I have a team. I have my office.
and it's obviously grown to be a passion of yours because it's
Yeah.
more of service, right?
That's it.
And you have this niche group of people who are your own people.
That's the biggest thing, sis, is our Polynesian community. They need to know about this stuff. And there's just a lack of people like us going back into the community and explaining it to them.
Oh, I think you hit it right there on the
Yeah.
head. Because
We talk the language. We understand the struggle, the upbringing. We know the 5 level levels, so we know. So when we're speaking to them, they can relate to us.
Yes.
And when they relate to us, it makes sense. And like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. Maybe I need to put $20 a month aside to better protect my family with a policy.
Yeah.
A lot of times people don't even know $20, $30 a month is all it takes
right.
to get a few $100,000.
Some kind of peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
So crazy story is my cousin, who in November of this past year, 33 years old, right? 33 years old, healthy. She was like, hey, Hiram, you know what? I just want to get my ducks in a row. And, I'm looking for life insurance. I said, cool. We ran some quotes and stuff like that. Found a policy to fit her and her family's budget and her needs. And then she was like, whoa. She's like, this is how much you made? I was like, yeah. She was like, how long did it take you? I said, it took me about an hour. She's like, you made that much? I said, yeah. She's like, oh, wow. So now it opened her eyes because she sees, she's a believer in the product. And she was like, well, you know what? Let me come aboard part-time. She came aboard part-time, school teacher for 10 years. She fired the district.
Wow.
She started doing this full-time with me, okay? Now, we were in Texas in May. She was coughing up a storm. I'm like, dude, are you okay? She's like, oh, it's my asthma, okay? So, beginning of June, right? Beginning of June, having a hard time breathing, coughing, she goes into the hospital, or to the ER. They run CAT scans, said, you know what, you have cancer. 33 years old, cancer. So she's like, what? Stage 4 lung cancer.
Stage 4.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, kind of going to another reason why I believe in what I do is because she was able to take $150,000 out of her living benefit life insurance. Mm-hmm. They cut her a check for $150,000 for living and medical expenses. So, and this is just a few weeks ago. She was like, hey, Hiram. She's like, man, my husband, he's gonna take a break from his job. He's gonna take this year off to help me recover my chemo. But because we see we're a product of the product and see how it works for us, he's going to take his license and he's going to become an agent.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like stories like that. You know what I mean? Like, damn, what, this stuff works.
And the timing, right? Like
33 years old, who would have thought?
And just like a a week or a few weeks or a few months before that,
Yeah.
they weren't even covered. They weren't even. So imagine if she didn't fire her boss
Yeah.
and she was still chugging along.
Chugging along, and they're blessed because she wouldn't be working.
Yeah.
Financially, it would have been tough. But now they have $150,000.
Now they can actually focus on getting better.
Focus on getting
healing.
better. Yeah, don't have to worry about bills. Bills are paid for, and focus on getting better. And then now he's going to start doing the business too. On the flip side of that, I had a friend of mine, or a classmate, who was trying. I would say, hey man, you should look into getting a policy. Oh, Hiram, I'm thinking about it. I said, bro, what do you think about $50?
Right,
$50 can get you $400,000 worth of coverage. What do you think about? I'm just gonna think about it. He ended up getting into an accident and passing away.
Oh my gosh.
And the wife reached out, and she's like, hey, Hiram, so and so passed away. I'm like, what? He's like, anything we can do? I was like, I can't do anything.
He didn't purchase it. Yes.
And it's frustrating for me because if he would have just been like, you know what, Hiram, yeah, let's do it. Boom, she would be getting a check for $400,000. Now she had to go GoFundMe route. Scrape by. They have a mortgage. They have 2 car payments. And, bills don't stop.
No.
They don't stop,
They never die.
They never die. Yeah, that's
They never catch COVID. They never slow
it's
down.
Residual bills.
Yes.
Those things don't stop, right? So that's the reason why I even go even more harder is because I don't want that to happen again to someone. You know what I mean? So once again, it's just it's just a passion of mine. It just so happens that we also get paid very well.
Yeah.
Right now,
that's the bonus.
Yeah, I've made the most money I've ever made right now, but it doesn't even feel like work because
You're helping.
I'm just helping people.
Yeah.
Educating. Our community needs it, and that's the biggest thing. So,
now your partner, your wife, right?
Yeah.
Is she a part of the team as well, or how did you, when you discovered all this new information? I mean, you have to go within your inner circle, your team.
Yeah.
And how did she receive the news when you're like, you know what? I think we're gonna go this route, babe.
You know what? No, so I've been blessed, right? Because I've been an entrepreneur, so I'm always trying to find ways to solve problems and make money. And so when I first got involved in it, she was like, babe, again? I was like, babe, you know what? I think this is it. We've been together, we've been married for over 20 years.
Wow.
So we have a great relationship. And
that's a success story in itself. You
yeah.
know?
Yeah. Shoot, with so much stuff going on, it's good to have a good rock, a good foundation. So I've been blessed because once again, we've been married for over 20 years. And, she was like, okay, babe, we're going to do this. Let's do this. So boom, she stood by me. She's still standing by me. But, sometimes you might be in a relationship to where you're working 12 hours a day, and they're like, you might have a questionable spouse. Like, hey, where are you at so late? My wife is doing a trip. She knows I'm working.
Yeah.
She knows I'm working. I'm going to Texas. I'm going to Frisco. I was just in Frisco, Hawaii. Man, I'm traveling for work. But she's like, babe, do your thing. I got the household. House is clean. Laundry's
kids.
washed. Kids are fed. She said, we're good. She's like, go and do your thing. And so it's a great dynamic. I've been blessed in that aspect. And then, of course, we take trips together, work, pleasure. But then, she just, she has a full trust in me to go ahead and win.
Yeah.
Because there's so much stuff that that I want to do, and I just don't want to settle. I'm hanging around the right people, and this information needs to get to more of our community.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing.
Oh, that is so awesome. So now EPIC, right, is actually an acronym for something. What is it?
So empowering people in communities, because the goal is to empower as many of our community to be more financially sound, more financially literate when it comes to anything finances. IRAs, Roth IRAs, IULs, annuities, fixed annuities, credit, interest rate, leveraging credit cards instead of debit cards, like all that stuff that
can seem overwhelming,
could
right?
seem overwhelming, right? And stuff that we don't talk about. It's I'm bringing it to the forefront.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm giving people an option because I know back in the days I used to just look forward to partying on the weekends.
Yeah.
And I found myself years down the line still in the same spot. So like, hey, you know what? If you guys want to go out there and win in life, talking about like my nephews and nieces, you know what? There's going to be a sacrifice that you're going to have to make. You can't just skate through life and win everything. Someone's going to have to sacrifice. Sacrifice your time from your spouse.
Unless you're a trust fund baby,
Yeah. You're going to have to sacrifice your weekends, sacrifice your time with, with your homies. whatever it is, there had to be some kind of sacrifice in place in order.
And
for
obviously something had to happen. And I mean, we talk about timing, right? I mean, if you had this information back then, do you usually think about that? But then you don't. If you thought about that, it can actually bring you down more than actually push you forward, right? Because maybe you weren't ready for that information. And I think this is a success story in itself, to where it can happen anytime. It's never too late as long as you're breathing, right?
No, you're right. But I felt the same way. I was like, you know what? I wish I would have known this 20 years ago. But everything's on God's timing. So I'm here now. I'm soaking it in, and we're going. And even with my kids, right? My daughter, she's a full-time student at Cal State Long Beach,
And
but she does
how
this
many
part-time.
babies do you have?
2.
And how old?
My
Also
daughter's
college?
My daughter's 23.
Wow.
She has one more year of communication. She's a communications major at Cal State Long Beach.
Love it.
She also does this part-time with me.
Cool.
And then my son's a senior at St. John Bosco. He plays football.
Hey, aren't they? Didn't they
They're
have a
one of the
game?
top teams. Yeah, they're one of the top. Either number 1 or 2 in the nation for football.
Awesome.
But even with him, he's just looking at, he's looking at stocks. He's looking at starting his own shoe company. You know what I mean? And just kind of flipping shoes. So he has entrepreneur mind. So I'm instilling my kids to, hey, don't be so dependent on going to work for someone. Mm-hmm. Find something that you like to do. Find a little niche and just go. Just work.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, build your own space, create your own income, become your own boss.
And here we are, you're already taking the ball by making sure that it rolls somewhere else, rather than in this cycle that we continue to go through from our own parents and our grandparents and our, right?
Yeah. My goal is, I was telling Joe, I plan to be retired in 4 years. Like 4 years, I want to be out the industry and just live life. And in this industry, you can do that because of residual income.
Right.
Yeah.
Now your money's working for you rather than you doing all the work.
Yeah, and it's
so you put it in the right places.
Yeah. So I have teams in multiple states. Like for example, I've never been to Missouri, but yet every time my team helps a family with like a life insurance policy, I get paid on that. And so on average, people keep their life insurance policy between 20 to 30 years.
Right.
So for the next 20, 30 years, I'm going to continue to get paid on that policy, even though I did the work once.
So cool.
So leveraging other people's time, but also leveraging residual income. Mm-hmm. Once again, some I didn't know about, right? What is residual income? What is leveraging? Mm-hmm. Because if you look at, we only have 24 hours in the day as one person. So my whole philosophy is you know what? I rather have, instead of having 100% of my efforts, I rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts.
Yes.
Working all together, driving same mission, same cause, same crusade. And once again, man, it's been blessed to continue to grow this thing. And
So where do you, so your goal now is to retire in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I can't wait to have you back here in 4 years. And
Yeah. Retire in 4 years. I want to definitely go back to Hawaii and just
and actually live there. Is that where you want to retire?
No.
Okay.
No, I can't live in Hawaii. I'm a Hawaiian, but I can't. It's too slow for me. I'm a city boy. It's too slow for me. But like politics. Politics. I have family that ran for political positions, but they didn't have the right enough of capital. So I want to be able to fund that. Right? You want to run?
Are you looking at actually
I don't
maybe?
I don't want to get in politics.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to know about things though, but I want to, there's a lot of my family out there that's like for like Hawaiian movement, Hawaiian language, all that stuff, because once again, it's poor leadership. It's poor government, a governor over there that's not for the people. A lot of times these people win because they have the financial backing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
money. It's really whoever is
money's
the
power.
richest, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Money is power. You want
Yes.
you want to influence politics. You need money.
You need money.
Yeah. So you need a vehicle to make that money. Mm-hmm. And so this is my vehicle. And so that's one of the things I want to do is go ahead and you have a campaign. Money's never an issue.
Yeah.
But we'll figure it out.
And then you still want to grow your food market?
Yeah, that's more of a passion of mine.
Yeah.
So we'll still grow the food market, and just seeing new vendors come in, being able to test their concept, because there was food vendors that came aboard as like first time doing it. I'm like, well, you have Instagram? No, do me a favor. The first thing you need is Instagram.
Yeah,
okay?
you need to
Find a
actually
name.
publicize
Yep.
something. Yeah.
Yep. I have you under my permit. Just come and try your concept. Blew up. They're doing it now. They're doing a great job.
Wow, that's so awesome.
But their first Berry Festival was at the South Bay Food Market, and so
give them that opportunity to
Yeah.
kind of even say like, does my food even taste good?
Yeah.
Does people actually would want to eat this?
Yep. Yeah. So that's that's the whole concept behind that is just, man, that's more of another giving back to the community, because it's an island influenced event.
Right. And then on top of it, you're now supporting other entrepreneurs, right?
I'm supporting other
They're
entrepreneurs.
getting out there and actually making their own business, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
business owners, like small
And then
business owners.
as I'm running the South Bay Food Market, now I have Epic as a sponsor, which is this write-offs.
Yeah.
So this is all money, all finances, all taxes, all stuff that I didn't know 16 months ago.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm still learning a lot of stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, 16 months, geez, and you hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So I think that's really what's the most impressive to me that I take away from our meeting right now is that there is, I love that. It's never too late. You
Never
know what I
too
mean?
late.
Like you can, if you're still willing, right?
Yeah.
Not even that you're able, because we're all able to learn, but
Yeah.
if you're willing to learn and actually make a change, you can.
Yeah.
You can. It's your choice.
You can. Just got to be urgent.
Yeah.
A lot of time we're just real chill.
Yeah.
We're chill, local food.
Yeah, there's definitely no sense of urgency.
Island time. The event's at 10 a.m. We show up at freaking 10:30, 11.
I know.
But in the business space where I'm at, you can't do that.
No, you cannot.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
And that just shows a lack of respect for time as Polys, right? We think it's funny, like, oh, we're out there on Polynesian time.
Yeah.
In the business space, it doesn't fly.
Right.
And so that's another thing. I'm like, hey, man, time is money. You can't waste. If there's one thing you don't want to do is disrespect someone's time by coming in late to a meeting. Mm-hmm. So I'm teaching all that, some once again teaching all these people that as well. You got to value people's time
Yes.
because some will never get back.
That is definitely something we won't get back, man.
Yep.
And I'm so excited for your ventures. I'm so excited how fast your business is
Yeah.
growing, and also that you're still you're keeping your love for being a foodie, because
Yeah.
being Pacific Islander, I'm a foodie as well.
We're all foodies. So can never go wrong with good food.
Could never
Good
go
food
wrong.
is like good music, right? It's universal.
Yes, that's you don't have to speak the same language, but
Yeah.
you can definitely
You
relate
know that
to each
you know
other.
that tastes good.
Yeah.
You know that tastes good right there.
That sounds good. That
Yeah.
tastes good.
You know that. I know.
Yeah, and that's so cool. I mean, so okay, now we're looking forward to the actual market, food market to happen in the next month and a half. So if
Yeah.
it stays like this,
As
we
so-
have something to actually look forward to as
Yeah.
a community. I mean, if you're here in the South Bay,
Yeah.
please, by all means,
Yeah.
make sure that you're checking out the Instagram and the. So
Yeah.
what are your social handles so that we can make sure?
For the food festival, it's the South Bay Food Market,
'Kay.
IG. And me personally is Mr. Aloha, so MISTER _ Aloha.
What are some of you think are your strengths for this industry specifically?
Well, you know what? Being personable, actually caring about people,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm in the people business, so you gotta have a genuine passion for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But also too, I mean, going out there and doing something big, like doing something like not just for yourself, because as I'm building this business, and I have certain targets and goals. If I just think about myself, I might just stop. But if I attach myself to a bigger goal, bigger vision, my team, for example, then it's going to continue to push me, even though when I'm
Yes, when you're like,
I'm
good.
yeah, I'm good. I'm like, you know what, like kind of like accountability partner, right? Like, you know what, like
Yes.
shit, you know what, I gotta go here. I gotta keep
Because
pushing.
now you're remembering to value their time, their dreams, their goals
Yeah.
that you brought on, right?
Yeah, and I think with Polynesians, we're naturally helping people.
Mm-hmm.
We like. I mean, we call it Aloha spirit. We're loving, caring people.
And we're the gentlest giants,
We're the
being Samoan, they're saying like, oh my gosh, you're so intimidating. But then we're loyal.
Yeah.
We're loving. We take
Just
care.
don't cross us.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
they know. Just don't cross us. Cool, big teddy bears, life of the party, love them, but just don't cross us.
Just don't cross us,
Yeah.
right? But that also comes with our sense of loyalty, right?
Yeah.
And when we actually use those powers that we naturally get,
Yeah.
when we're born, I mean, this is the product, right? Like
Yeah.
your drive, your enthusiasm for something when it comes to people, and
Yeah.
remembering that. I think a lot of the time too, we forget that when we're looking at a job or when we're looking at as long as people are involved and your product is actually servicing people,
Yep.
like that's really what the real product is, right?
Yeah.
Like it's people.
Yep.
So if you're able, like you said, one of your superpowers is being personable.
Yeah.
And that helps out a lot.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And also too, something I don't think I brought up, but personal development, reading a lot. You look at like Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, Warren Buffett,
Yes.
Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they all read.
Yes.
They all read. They have a library. They read maybe 1, 2, 3 books a week. Mm-hmm. And in high school, I graduated high school. I don't even think I ever read a book after college.
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah.
But if I want to know about leadership, like John Maxwell, for example. I want to learn about sales, Brian Tracy, right? I want to learn about the 5 dysfunction of a team, Patrick Lencioni. So all these books, it's like additional mentorship, right? That everyone has access to. Just got to go and apply it and go get these books. So,
yeah, and that's another big thing is application.
Yeah.
Right. You can read and read and read, but if you're not actually going to practice it and apply it,
yeah. So like this thing goes,
you're sitting with all this knowledge.
This is what the saying is: knowledge is power, but it's actually applied knowledge is power.
Yes.
You got to be able to apply, because if not, you're just a smart idiot just sitting there.
Right.
So you got to apply it.
You
You got to apply it, and don't be afraid to fail. In society nowadays, it's like, you know what? Oh, you can't fail. But in entrepreneurship, in life and business, failing is good.
Well, you'd have to. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't
You fail
know
way to the
one
top.
business owner that actually started a business and didn't fail.
Yeah.
Like their first business ever.
Yeah.
All the things that I've read, all of the major, even the Warren Buffetts of the world and
Yep.
the Elon Musks, it's like they tried and tried again before they finally got to the point where they're like, oh, okay, this works,
Yeah.
and now I can adopt the same model and carry it forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, so failure definitely,
Yeah.
you got to have some thick skin, some self-inspiration.
Learn to love failure.
Yeah.
Learn to love failure. Embrace failure. It's part of the process. It's part of every time you fail, you're one step closer to the top.
Yeah, and you're learning,
You're
right?
learning.
You're constantly, that's the best lesson, I
Yeah.
feel, is when you've actually lost
Yeah.
or you failed at something because you're going, okay, well, what did I learn from this?
Yeah.
Let me not repeat that, right?
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
But then we have our people, too, that just get wounded and just keep repeating the same
And
process.
that happens too. So.
Well, we need consumers anyway, so
Yep.
that's okay.
Yep. Everyone has a role.
Yes. Well, okay. What is, I know you kind of covered it, but just to put a button on it before I let you go, what would you like to see at least our upcoming generations do?
You know what? Be more involved and learn about finances, learn about money, learn about financial literacy. Because, I rather see these kids really dive into that stuff than seeing them work at like Raising Cane's or like a Foot Locker to where they're making like pennies. Mm-hmm. And with taxes, knowing about taxes. You know what I mean? So my advice, what I'd like to see to the next generation is really being a sponge when it comes to money, being open about talking about money, but really learning about it.
Yeah.
Because that's something that they still don't teach is financial literacy.
Yes.
But then when we come out of...
I'd like to talk to the school system, please.
Yeah. But you know what? When they graduate school, it's like, you need to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, bills, or they start off life in debt.
Yeah.
With school loans, right,
Yeah.
to get this
And
degree.
that's another thing, right? It's funny how society works because they'll give a student $100,000 worth of student loan debt, but they won't give them like a $10,000 small business loan.
Right.
So it's just stuff you
It's
question
so
the
ass
system.
backwards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where it's like, you know what? It is what it is.
So let me learn how to work it.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
It was such a pleasure having you.
Appreciate
Hiram.
you having me.
Thank you
Had a
so
good time. Had a
much.
good time.
I know this definitely won't be the last time you're going to be with us because
I'm
I'm
fortunate.
excited to just see more of what Epic is.
We're doing some epic things.
Yes, epic things.
We're doing
man.
epic things. So.
And I can't wait to come and enjoy all the food for my foodiness.
Yes. Yes. That's
So
gonna be
gotta
great.
look out for that.
Yep.
It's me, your girl, Miss Lulu, again with my special guest, Hiram Travis. I am so excited for you that you're actually hearing this here. Make sure you tell everybody at Ms. Lulu, MYZLULU. Tune in every single day, islandblocknetwork.com for all your Islandesian needs. Mwah, mwah, mwah. See, hear, and speak love.
See love, hear love, speak love. Everyone loves Lulu.